Hello everyone and welcome to GuildGab episode 55. This is a show all about everything Guild Wars 2, and today we're going to be talking about all of the many blog posts that were released this week, lots of new information on Heart of Thorns, as well as the coming Halloween celebration. We're going to be talking about the economy, the new legendary weapons, Halloween rewards, and all the goodies coming back with that. We have a PvP Pro League that is forming, I guess, and we have an official launch time for Heart of Thorns. Before we get into all that, however, let me introduce everyone. I'm your host, AuroraPeachy, and with me are my wonderful co-hosts, MMO Inks, RPG Shack, and Corvus Plays. What's up, guys?
Trust in the mountain. The mountain will guide you true. Hey,
you have to talk in that majestic voice all show.
In this majestic voice for the next 60 minutes.
So, since we have a lot of stuff to talk about today, I'm just going to go in the order that the blog posts came out. So, the first one we got was all about the economy and how it's changing, and they're keeping it updated for Heart of Thorns. Basically, in this blog post, it said that they're going to be tweaking things as Heart of Thorns comes out. There's a lot of systems that are coming out all at once, and it's the economy. They understand, and they want us to expect it to be a little bit unstable at first. And with all of those new systems being bombarded into the game at once, that's understandable. So they're going to be tweaking rewards, and with the new map reward system, you'll be able to farm specific mats, so that's really going to help regulate the economy, because they can also control what those rewards are in each map. But I think the biggest thing to come out of this blog post was that dungeons are being, I guess, nerfed. At least the liquid rewards.
The rewards are, or the yeah, like I said, the liquid asset portion of it is certainly being nerfed. So it does sound like the amount of gold that you're going to be getting from the dungeon paths is going to be reduced. I think the saving grace with it might be the map reward system. Hopefully that will be the trade-off. So I guess all of us who were in the last beta, I'm sure there were a few of us down in Kershaw who were trying to get all those giant eyes. So if you can bag yourself a few giant eyes per day, that's they're what 8 or 9 gold each at the moment. So, right. But I honestly I am personally kind of disappointed that that's the road that dungeons are going down. To me, that or at least the way that the game is now, dungeons are that kind of entry into endgame content, rather than when the game first launched, dungeons were the endgame content, and they've been that way for quite a while. But I think that removing the kind of gold reward for new players coming into this, so it is going to be new players who are going to suffer. Or I say, suffer.
Well, the reason they're doing this is because they're not focused on advancing dungeons right now. They want to move on to fractals and raids. So they're putting all of the improvements, all of the updates, the reworks, and the new rewards, and it's going to be rewarding to do the dungeons and the fractals and the raids. And so they want to move that farming community, that money-making farming community, away from basically old content is what the dungeons are now. And they're still viable. You still get loot. You still get your unique dungeon rewards. You have your unique armor, your unique weapons. So there's still a reason to do them. Absolutely. But they're not going to be this gold farm that they are right now.
But if that was the route ArenaNet was going to go down, if they wanted to remove the gold farm aspect from dungeons completely, I'd say make the rewards, the rewards that you get from the dungeons, from the dungeon token vendors, don't make them salvageable and don't make them forgeable, because you've still got the gold farm there, even though it's within Ectos and playing the Mystic Toilet. So
but with the raid rewards and the fractal rewards, I think that's going to be more viable than doing dungeons for pure gold farming.
There's two ways to look at it. So first of all, they're not taking away all liquid rewards from dungeons. It's a reduction and a redistribution to other formats. Now, fractals, I'm not sure it's always been clear, but I guess it should have always been clear, and now they're reinforcing this, that's the end game dungeons that you should be running, and that's what they want you to run, as well as raids, which are now being tacked onto that. So the liquid rewards are going there. As far as tokens and breaking down those things for the sigils or the insignias, whatever they are, and selling them on the trading post, that's not liquid. That is redistribution of wealth within the game. So liquid rewards is literally creating money from nothing. You run a dungeon, you get a gold or 2 gold or whatever it is, and that is created gold in the game. If you get a armor piece and you break it down and then you sell it on the trading post, you're just redistributing money. I'm taking Corvus's gold because he wants this, and I'm giving him an item to do so. But that gold is not newly generated, I guess. On top of that, we don't know exactly how much the dungeon rewards are getting nerfed. They're not getting nerfed to 0, but they're not going to stay at 100%. And I understand some people's concern with this, and they want to run it and stuff, but ArenaNet is trying to, by redistributing this liquid wealth, this newly generated wealth, they're trying to force you, or they're hoping to entice you, force is a bad word, they're hoping to entice you to do fractals and to try and do raids in order to generate that liquid wealth, because that's where they want you to be. If you're an endgame player, they don't necessarily want you running the lower level dungeons. Aurora technically is level 80, right? But I think level 80. But the others are lesser level. Now the explorable paths aren't. Those are level. I believe most of them are 80. No, I'm wrong on that. Anyway, the point is they want to force you, or they want to redirect you. Force is such a terrible word. They want to redirect you to fractals because that is what they are calling their endgame dungeons. And with the way fractals are being reworked, you're not forced to sit through 4 paths anymore. You can do 1 path and 1 and done. How much that's going to reward, how much gold, silver, whatever the case is, we don't have those numbers yet. So rather than panic and set the cars on fire and tip them over, we should probably just wait to see what that's going to do. On top of this, they're redistributing salvaging as well. They're going to decrease some of the salvaging items that you get, hopefully not ectos, and they're going to increase some of the rare salvage items that you get from things. So we'll have to wait to see how it checks out. You know, John Smith has come out and said, look, we're going to make these changes, and then we're going to watch. And we're going to wait to see what happens with the economy. And if it's bad, we'll fix it. We'll make a correction. We'll increase it or nerf it, or we'll do what needs to be done to keep it balanced. But with Heart of Thorns coming, with the rewards that are being shifted to fractals and raids, and of course the entire new zone where there's going to be new materials and stuff, you need to, and also the new map reward system, which is going to change things quite a bit.
Yeah.
You need to watch the economy to try and keep it fairly balanced.
Yeah.
So
that's
the idea here.
My kind of question off the back of that is, obviously, you know, we've got that scalable ability of fractals, so we can make fractals kind of like a level 1 is around an explorable dungeon difficulty, I'd say. And obviously, you know, the rewards increase as you go up, but that makes it accessible to, you know, all of the players who are level 80 in Guild Wars 1. In Guild Wars 2. But what about the concept of raids being everybody's end game? Because it's something that we've touched on quite a bit in GuildGab in the past, and everyone's kind of talked about it since raids have been announced, that raids are not going to be completable for everybody at their current level of skill. So in terms of how would you expect people to make their money in game if they're literally not skilled enough to complete that top tier content?
That's the thing. Like, we need to find out how much of the rewards are going to be moved to fractals. We know the change of fractals are going to mean that each level of fractal is going to be its own contained set instance every single time. You're going to get the same fractal every time you do a specific level, and that might, depending on how the kind of gold rewards and that work out, whether that means you're going to be able to run the same few levels every single day. Say, you know, you can do levels 1 to 10 every single day or something, and that would be the same as running, I don't know, 5 or something, or maybe 10 dungeon paths. Whether that's going to transfer that way.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure, but I think the majority of the rewards for raids are going to be their own thing. I think what's shifting with the dungeon rewards is that I reckon a lot of the things from there are going to come and move to fractals, because fractals are, they've said it already, but that's going to be their new kind of endgame 5-man content. And while raids are going to be this difficult content that some people aren't really going to be able to tackle, I think fractals are going to be they already are way more accessible than what we've seen of raids, and because you can adjust the level to your skill level, basically. It's again, that's gonna be okay for people. I don't think it's gonna mean that they're moving gold to raids, and so loads of players that aren't at that level are gonna be able to get the gold they've always got. I think it's just gonna be, it's gonna be this optional thing that you can get loads of rewards from. Fractals are basically gonna be where dungeons are now, I think, in terms of rewards, or at least that would be kind of the wise way to do it.
But doesn't that go against the if you want to progress through the fractal system, doesn't that kind of go against ArenaNet's idea of that you don't need to grind gear to play the end game? Because after a point, you're gonna need ascended armor to slot your agony infusions in. I mean, even from level, you could probably do at level 15 or something without any agony infusion. But after that, it starts to get, you pretty much have to have agony infusion in your armor, and making that the core focus of at least vanilla Guild Wars 2 endgame, where you essentially do have a grind to get the infusions. Even though I actually quite like fractals, and getting the infusions isn't actually that much of an issue, but to me that kind of goes against a little bit against the endgame philosophy that Guild Wars 2 had when it was first launched.
Yeah, I can understand, because, especially like level 15, I'd say around that time, between 10 and 15 is kind of the point where you need to start thinking about that. And, the infusions themselves aren't that much of a pain, but getting your gear infused in those infusion slots, those versatile slots and stuff like that, it's a pain, and I don't know. I can imagine some people aren't super happy with that, but it all comes down to how they balance the rewards for this, how much they shift from dungeons into those early level fractals, to make it, a bit more balanced, and so people can run those instead if they want that kind of consistent daily influx of gold. We really just need more details about it. I don't really have a problem with it. I think Ascended Gear has been in the game for a very long time. They're obviously pushing for it. The content is harder in Heart of Thorns. We've got raids as an end game thing there. It's a good transition, I think, because I think a lot of people run dungeons at the moment, and there's a lot of players that just haven't even really touched fractals. And so if they shift the reward, they've said explicitly that they were kind of trying to de-incentivize dungeons, and I think that's about shifting that attention into fractals. Getting people those ascended drops, getting them more familiar and prepared for having ascended gear. I think that's fine.
And we talked about this at length last week about raids requiring ascended drops, or ascended armor. Ultimately, we've had a long time to build up ascended armor. I mean, just yesterday I got an ascended armor drop box, so it's like it's not like it's impossible to get the gear required. Your typing is so loud, dude. You're like
Sorry.
rage typing. But yeah, so I think the economy changes are good overall. The fact that they're going to keep a constant watch on them and change them as needed is great. And then this new system with the map rewards, being able to put things like the eyes back into the economy is a fantastic thing.
I've got I think like I said a little bit. I think we either said this in the pre-show or said this a bit earlier, that I think the map rewards are potentially going to be the saving grace that balances out the potential loss of income from duns, because I mean, we've had a mess around on the beta weekend to get the giant eyes and everything, but each zone that you get that you go to, it has a different tier of material and a different kind of and it's got the different levels as well, and different kinds of things that you can farm. So it's kind of nice that you now can actively work towards something instead of going, I need to get X kind of material, and you've just got to take your chances with your kind of your loot drops. But going to somewhere, say, hey, I need powerful bloods or whatever. You can go to like your level 65 zones and farm your little hearts out.
The best part of this is that it gives you something to do to earn those materials rather than just farming gold and buying them off the trading post, you know? Absolutely. Being able to go to a specific low-level zone, take part in events there, and actually contribute to the kind of world rather than just going to the silver waste, which is another thing. Like, if they're looking at the economy like this, I think it's worthwhile for them to look at the kind of chest farming in the silver waste. I think that is by far the most profitable thing you can do in the game at the moment. If you farmed like 24 hours a day, like it'd be insane the amount of gold you can get from that. And yeah, a lot of that does come from, you know, materials. Like you get rares, you salvage them, you get ectos, or you get T6 mats, you can sell those as well. So if
that's the things that are going to be changing. Well,
that's the thing. If the trading post and the economy side of things changes up so that those things aren't super expensive or are spread out a bit more evenly or a bit more fairly priced or something, that could completely change how much the farm is run. I'm not saying they're going to get cheaper. I don't really know what's going to happen with materials and stuff, but potentially that's a good way to change it without nerfing the spawn rate or something like that. So that's definitely another thing that I think they will probably address.
Yeah. Speaking of materials, have you guys been keeping an eye on the trading post over the last few days and seen? I was talking to one of the guys that I'm in a guild with, and people have started buying up the thick leather sections in anticipation for them to being used, and like silver ores going up, and all of the things that have relatively limited value and that are pretty cheap on the trading post. Like their value is like shooting up 300 or 400% now.
Yeah, so anything that's cheap is probably going to get expensive. So buy it now, kind of thing.
So we already know from previous guild chat sessions that silver ore is going to be used for scribing. It's used for like the pen tips or something. I don't remember exactly what it's used for, but we know that silver is going to be used for that. So that's why there's an increase there. The leather was up. I think it's down again, but at one point it had spiked 400% in value. Yeah. It sounds like a lot, but leather's basically worthless, or it was basically worthless. And the only reason that it's currently spiked is speculation from people that they might make leather, they might nerf the drop rate on leather to make it a little more rare. Unfortunately, unless there's a new leather sink in Heart of Thorns, which there might be, there very well might be, it's really not going to affect leather. Like in the long run it will, but not in the short run. And a lot of people, like you hear about all these people buying up stocks. I didn't sell any of my leather. I know other people who have stacks and stacks and stacks because they just don't throw it out, you know? There's a lot of leather out there that's not even on the trading post, and when you look at the trading post, there's like 1 billion leather pieces or whatever it is. It's a lot of supply to go through. The recipes that require leather versus the mask versus metal, that kind of needs to be rebalanced, and that's not something we're going to see anytime soon. Hopefully new recipes will have some sort of leather sink or, less used material sink, but nothing confirmed. This is all just people speculating on how salvaging is getting nerfed.
Great. Oh my god, the rage typing, dude.
Sorry.
So loud.
One key at a time.
Let's move on to the next blog post. Was the new legendary weapons were finally revealed, and as well as kind of the process of the gifts that are going to go into the new legendary weapons are similar, but some of them are different, or some of them, like parts of the gifts are different. It says that a legendary weapon recipe from the second set is comprised of a specific precursor weapon, the new gift of Maguma Mastery, a mystic tribute, and a unique gift associated with the legendary weapon being made. So the gift of Maguma Mastery, which replaces just the gift of Mastery, where you need world completion and bunch of other components. The Gift of Maguma Mastery, you'll need materials that can only be acquired after completing all of the Heart of Maguma masteries, map completion of the expansion zones, and a lot of each of the map-specific currencies.
See, that's interesting, right?
Love
because the masteries are account bound, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
how is that going to work? Do you get given something as a bonus chest, or is it like a vendor you can talk to and get as many as you want of that component, or like how is that?
That is a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that once you've completed that mastery track, you then have to get, you know, X amount
The
of
other
that
stuff.
particular currency. Yeah, that's really pleasing to me, though. I really like the fact that you have to do absolutely everything in terms of the in terms of playing Heart of Thorns, because one of the biggest, not issues, but what I think one of the biggest shortfallings with the Generation 1 legendaries was that you could play relatively little of the content and still get one. I mean, if you wanted, you could actually do nothing but grind gold and buy one off the trading post.
Right.
And this is still the one of the happiest that Guild Wars 2 has made me, that
Yes.
legendaries are now going to be completely account bound.
Yes. Yes.
Aside from the Generation 1's the Generation 1 legendaries. And
Right.
one thing that does get on my goat, though, and I read this, I think it was in the PvP thing, or I heard it somewhere, the Shards of Glory that you earn from PvP, they're tradable on the trading post. That
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was odd as well.
Well, think of it like a tier 6 material, maybe.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I guess if you're I guess it's
it's-
the same
it's
as, because that's gonna be required. That's the other thing. This unique weapon gift for the new legendaries will require the unique rewards from PvP and World vs. World. Now, like you said, the PvP ones, if they're tradable on the trading post, then again, you don't really have to do PvP. You can just buy them off the trading post. But if you think about it, currently, if a PvP only player wants to make a legendary, I mean, they do have to go and do world completion in PvE. But their tier 6 mats, you just buy it off the trading post. You can't earn those in PvP. So you can just buy it off the trading post.
But to me, the concept of a legendary weapon was that you explore all aspects of the game.
And I agree with that. Yes, I agree with you. I like the fact that you would have to do some PvP, you would have to do some World vs. World, and you have to do PvE. So if you have one of these legendary weapons, it proves, especially because they're account bound now, it proves that you at least explored. You don't have to master every part of the game, every game mode. But you at least have to explore it. Now, in the case of the Heart of Maguma Mastery, actually, you do actually have to master that part of PvE. So we probably won't see that many PvE-only players with these new legendaries, actually.
No,
It's
that's
interesting
true.
in terms of theme, though, because the Shards of Glory, I mean, it's glory, it's there because you've accomplished this thing. You've, killed players, you've managed to... And in theme, it's a bit
Right.
strange. But I don't think it's too bad. I think it would have been totally fine if they had made them not, untradeable. I think, you progress so quickly through stuff like that. I think it would have been okay. Even if you lose, you're still gaining stuff.
So I think the flip side of this is that this gives something for structured PvP players and World vs. World players, where that's where they spend most of their time. Not that maybe that's not the only thing they do, but they spend most of their time there. This gives them a currency their excess currency to trade, to sell, to make money playing that particular game mode. World vs. World in particular suffers pretty greatly from not getting a lot of currency from just playing World vs. World. Typically, those players need to leave World vs. World, go do other things, so that they can keep up what they're doing. Food and gear and et cetera, et cetera. So this is a tiny way, and I do understand, I think it's very logical that you should experience all these things yourself to earn them, but this is kind of a two-stepped approach. You can go and do it yourself, save yourself the gold, save yourself the money, because these things probably won't be cheap. go do it yourself, earn it yourself. Bingo, you've saved yourself a lot of money with a little bit more time investment, or with some time investment. On the flip side, if you just have lots of money and you don't have lots of time, then this gives an option for you to fuel the pockets of the world versus world and structured PvP player.
Right.
It's options, right?
Options. I love the options. And you may discover that you actually enjoy PvP. I gotta say, when I was doing my, and again, don't know if I agree with this, but when I was doing my PvP dungeon reward tracks to get my Shards of Zhaitan for Bifrost, because I didn't want to do the dungeons, it made me discover how much I actually enjoyed PvP. Never thought I would have done PvP before, so I love this, again, not forcing, but giving you the option to do another game mode. But then at the same time, I'm conflicted because I still think that you should actually be forced to do, if you're going for a legendary weapon, be forced to do all 3 game modes. So I'll be honest, I'm completely torn on that.
I think I'm probably a little bit more hardline than probably you guys and quite a bit of the community, that I've a legendary weapon should be 100% your own work. And to me, that is pretty much the be all and end all of it. Obviously, that's not how it is, and people disagree with it, which is absolutely fair enough. But yeah, out of the 3, just a quick one, out of the 3 new legendaries that we've seen so far, are any of them tickling your biscuit? Do you want to go for them?
Biscuit about.
I really like them. The pistol,
I'll agree. The pistol is to me. And we're at the point, though, I think we have to give the disclaimer, we're at the point where we haven't seen them in action, in motion. We've only seen the screenshots from the blog post.
Yeah, exactly. The pistol, I'm not a super huge fan of. I don't really like pistols or rifles in Guild Wars 2 anyway. I don't use them, so it's not a super interesting thing to see. I really like the axe. I think it's pretty. I have Frostfang, so I don't... I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna...
Corvus!
You have Frostfang?
Yeah.
Congratulations!
I know, thanks.
We had no idea.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hold on to my Frostfang. Of course I am.
I tell you what, that arm effect though.
Yeah.
That's the biggest change, is that all 3 of them turn your entire arm, give your entire arm an effect.
Right.
That is completely new.
It's important to note that there are legendaries in the game already that give a partial arm effect. Like Rod Gort starts at the wrist and there's like fire, right? Frostfang and
Incinerates it does the same.
Incinerator.
Well.
There's a couple of them. But it's not a complete, like you guys can't see. It's not a complete arm, right? It's just like partial arm. So the complete arm is a bit different. And in the case of the staff, it gives you a feathered arm. In the case of the axe, it is a blue space arm. And in the case of the pistol, it's lightning arm. So I think the arm effect is pretty cool. I think it's different, or at least different enough from the others.
Yeah, the Generation 1 legendaries.
Right.
The staff is incredible, to be honest. I know everyone inks. I know everyone likes the staff.
Everyone, that's
I
right.
particularly like it. I love ravens. I love crows. That whole thing. The whole Corvus brand. You know, it's the genus.
The whole
that all
Corvus
crows
brand.
I made this for you, man.
This whole thing. So it's my legendary. Frostfang and the staff are mine. So you do have to pay royalties if you equip it. It's just 1 or 2 gold every month to me. That'd be great. Thanks. So I was super pleased with it. I was kind of expecting it to be maybe weapons I didn't use that often, or weapons I didn't particularly like using, or designs, because it's kind of risky, right? Legendaries are you either like it or you don't, kind of currently anyway. The designs of them. So I was kind of worried about it, but they have a really perfect spread across classes with these weapons, and the staff and the axe in particular. I like both of those weapons on my characters, and I like the designs of them, so I'm really pleased with them all. So I'm gonna go for the staff for sure, I think, first, and we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna go for any of these. I would rather wait to see what else comes, because I don't use axe, I don't use pistol, and I use staff, but
You have Bifrost.
I have Bifrost. I have the Love Struck staff. It's really cool. The Raven staff is very cool. I'm glad they finally released it. And but I don't really have an interest in it. But the staff is my favorite of the three.
Yeah,
The staff is your favorite.
Which-
I think the staff is niche. I think if I could just use the staff and never actually, if I could wear the staff and never actually use it, I'd have more use for it. But the second that giant blue bird lights up, kind of kills it for most of my characters, except for maybe Guardian, who shouldn't be using a stick anyway. But anyway,
Loot stick, dude.
If you want loot, then Guardian's the place to be with the staff. And if it
Here's
doesn't
the
work
pro-
on
like
one
you said,
character,
Inks-
just delete it and make a new one until it does.
Well, here's the thing. I'm still so sad that weapons aren't dyeable. But I can understand it because there are weapons where different levels of them are, like the Super Adventure box weapons, that different levels are different colors. So dyeing it would defeat that purpose. But some of these, like you said, Inks, like the blue, it's really awesome, but the blue kills it for you and any of your characters. And like the axe looks amazing, but the blue, for me, when I looked at it, I was like, Frostfang's blue, this one's blue. Like, couldn't they have given us a different color axe? Like, if they've maybe just made legendaries dyeable, what would be the problem with? I mean, how many people are going to have these legendaries?
I've had a similar problem, right, with stuff like Twilight. When they announced that Reaper was going to get, or Necker was going to get Greatsword, I looked desperately. My character has this icy theme going on. A blue Twilight would be incredible, like with the kind of basically the axe texture, but thrown on Twilight would be amazing.
It's pretty similar already, isn't it?
Yeah, I need the blue, I need the blue color. So like dyeable weapons would be amazing, but then there's kind of stuff in the game, like maybe they could limit it to only legendaries, which I would understand.
Right.
But then Sunrise versus Twilight, like could you not just use dyes instead? Kind of
Right.
dye the texture different.
The tier 2 legendaries, these new legendaries, it would be
Right,
awesome
okay.
if just they were dyeable. Don't
Right.
go back. Just
That would be cool.
Well, actually, I think there's a difference between second gen legendaries and tier 2 legendaries. Because at the moment, there's only one tier 2 legendary in the game, and that's Eternity.
I meant
And
second gen, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, jeez, Peachy.
Pay attention.
But that's I guess that's something we're going to have to, that hopefully we can start thinking about as well, where the Eternity model is expanded out into subsequent legendary weapons, where you can create uber legendaries
Right.
for everything.
I really don't think
I
they would
see-
do that again, honestly.
Okay, my opinion on this is that maybe not tier them up in any kind of way. I was originally going to say, well, they started doing that with the minis, with like the mini llama. You can tier it up and do cool stuff in
right.
the forge with that. Adding something like that would be kind of like an end goal for your legendary that kind of keeps going. Maybe not like that, but maybe similar to how they do the stat swapping on Ascended stuff. You get these kind of, you have the anthology of heroes, and you use that and you put it in with something else. Maybe there would be ways, maybe there's like 4 color scheme or designs for each legendary, and you could do a recipe in the forge to change it. I guess kind of similar to the Ascended Spinal Blades or something. Where you can go out, collect materials, throw it in the forge, and
Make
it
it
changes.
even more shiny.
Maybe not more shiny, but just shiny in a different way. Like maybe the texture on that legendary axe kind of changes color, and so you can match it better or something like that.
It's interesting.
I don't know. I don't think this will happen. It's just I'm jamming ideas, man.
So I believe there was a post already saying something to the effect of they're not going to be doing with the second generation. There's not going to be any kind of Eternity weapons. There's also not going to be any. There's not going to be any underwater weapons either, by the way.
Oh.
Or well, I guess that's assumed because currently there's.
They did say 16. They said
Right.
there's going to be 16 of these. So does that include underwater weapons?
No, that's without underwater.
I
I
would
think so.
assume
Less
that
than
underwater has been cut.
Yeah, it has.
I would assume underwater's been cut. So as far as recoloring them and stuff, I think the problem comes down to, I think it's a technology barrier. I think it's or a programming barrier of some kind. Redying the textures is probably not as easy as that sounds like to us. So
Mm-hmm.
they would literally have to create specific color textures for what you can change
Yeah,
it into.
it's a lot of work for
Right.
not,
I actually
like,
asked
Yeah.
Colin this question at PAX South. I said that, why no dyeable weapons? And he basically said that it comes down to like, I don't know what to call it, like loading and bandwidth. Like everybody already has a unique color of armor. He said
Right.
if you add weapons onto that, he's like, it just compounds, it just exponentially increases the loading and the
Yeah.
that issue. He said that was the main issue with dyeing weapons. But then, what I say to that is that, well, if it's just the new legendary weapons, not everybody's going to be walking around with one of these things.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be
True.
that much
at least
to
for
ask.
now, until I don't
Right.
know, maybe a bit. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting idea. Maybe it's something they'll do. But I think the problem with this, I don't know. I kind of spoke about it and suggested stuff. But I think the problem with this is that they probably want the legendaries to have this kind of unique, like important lore background. Like this is Twilight. This is and so if you could dye it and you could change it, it would kind of devalue it in terms of like it's this iconic thing in the world. And considering they're going to add more of a lore background with the collections and they're wanting to add a bit more importance to the world, it's not it's not like Quip or the Minstrel, these little things which are kind of whatever, like the Moot and stuff. Like they're wanting the legendaries to sit in the world nicely and potentially have a kind of background to them. And so if they're changeable in any kind of way, dyeable maybe, it might devalue that a little bit in a way. Because you're manipulating this thing, which is supposed to be this legendary thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen yet.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that, Corvus.
Okay.
Yes, yes. I will not try to dye my crows pink.
Wait for it. You've wanted you've wanted the those white wings to be dyeable as they came out, just so you can dye pink.
Back pieces, dyeable. Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. Back pieces, if back pieces. No, I would have holographic pink dragon wings on all my characters.
Wow. Pink dragons.
Pink dragons, yes. And I also want to say that we're when I saw the name for the axe, I was a little hey,
yeah.
ArenaNet,
Astral?
I couldn't even say it. I couldn't even say it for a while. I was like, Astralala, what? Astraluk. I wanted to say Astralis because that's been the last name for my main character on Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2 has been Astralis. So I was like, Astralaria.
Astralaria, yeah.
Astralaria? Okay.
I just call it Peachy. So much Peachy axe. So Peachy.
We've
Shorter,
got
I was gonna
Astralaria,
say.
which is this sword. We've got the themed pistol, which is called Hope, and
Yep.
we've got the Raven staff is called Nevermore. After
Nevermore.
the old Edgar Allan Poe
Poor Poe.
poem, which is pretty cool.
Indeed.
But it does look kind of spooky, the staff, doesn't it? And speaking of spooky things, that was a brilliant segue. I think we can all agree.
That
ArenaNet, good
segue!
job. Yeah.
That was, yes, very good. I give you applause.
We've got-
Speaking of spooky things, Halloween! We got a blog post all about Halloween, and it's confirmed to be in the new Lion's Arch. We saw pictures of it all decorated. It looks amazing. There's like candy corn hanging everywhere. You got the giant cauldron. Like, Halloween is back in full force.
Looks amazing.
It
really
looks
does.
awesome.
Can't wait to see it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. The only slight issue is that Halloween comes to Tyria the same day that Heart of Thorns does.
Yes, it does.
Cheeky.
I'm less excited about that.
I'm flat out upset about that. I would take it next Tuesday and give me 3 days to geek out in Halloween Town, and then go full force into Heart of Thorns.
Halloween
But the
Town.
same day, why, Colin? Why?
I'm confused why they didn't put it out.
What?
They're not putting it out on the Tuesday, right? That's traditionally when these kind of things are put into the game. So it kind of
Yeah.
Right. It's just odd.
I think, though I do think that the reason for this is so new players have something to do or something, maybe.
No, I won't accept that it's for new players. No, new players of the game who just. I mean, there's people getting into the game today. Like, I mean, they have the entire game. They have 3 years of the game to explore. And if you didn't get Heart of Thorns, you didn't buy the expansion. You don't get the new content. Don't punish new players by releasing Halloween on the same day and reward people who didn't buy it by here's Halloween. I'm sorry. I'm pissed.
I think it it has to do with loading it into the same patch as Heart of Thorns. I think they're just going to load it all together and push the patch out.
Even a better reason to put it out on Tuesday, because then you're downloading Halloween and you can download the bulk of Heart of Thorns on Tuesday. A lot of people won't even log into the game until Friday because they know that that's launch day. So then you have half the people downloading it on Tuesday. And Tuesday, either way, we might get a giant update. Where we download a bunch of Heart of Thorns, and then Friday maybe we'll download the rest of it.
See, well, maybe I think Halloween's it's an incentive for people to it draws out the Heart of Thorns content and slows down the rate at which people are progressing through that content if there's something else for them to do, and I think that could have a lot to do with it, maybe, or maybe to reduce the strain on their servers or something. I'm not too sure. I think it's clear they did this on purpose and it's for a reason. You just kind of have to speculate why.
And there's the eternal question, and here's the thing. Everybody says, well, Halloween is temporary, and, Heart of Thorns is going to be there forever, so why not just do Halloween and then do Heart of Thorns later? Here's the problem with that. My main reason to playing Heart of Thorns is I want to know the story. Every hour I wait to do the story is the chance of spoilers is exponential. So for someone like me who doesn't want anything ruined, I can't just ignore it and play Halloween. I can't. I have to get through the story basically as fast as possible if I don't want spoilers. So there's the problem with that.
Yeah,
that's the biggest problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, on top of that, I know that we bang on about this all the time when I'm talking about release dates, but it's a very, very heavy end of year with some massive titles. We've got Assassin's Creed Syndicate, we've got Rise of the Tomb Raider, which both come out on the 23rd, I think. So they both come out on the same day as Heart of Thorns, and we've got Fallout 4 2 weeks later as well. And besides, they now announced the release date. Can't go back on it.
Yeah,
that's
right.
it.
Yeah.
It's always tricky to release games at this kind of time, and it was kind of why for the whole of this year I was so sure that it would line up with the 3rd anniversary of the game, like around August or something. It kind of avoids the later on stuff, and it kind of would have given Guild Wars 2 like this nice little bit of time for it to just sit in. Obviously, they couldn't have released it earlier this year. Earlier than that, anyway. So I was so sure, and it's a tricky time. But then, while those games are kind of big games in gaming in general, I think Heart of Thorns, it's an MMO, it's kind of got its own niche audience anyway. Yeah. And a lot of us are, not me, but like a lot of us are kind of are into that stuff and the kind of more mainstream game releases. And so, some of us will be playing those other games, but I'm not too sure. I think it's not as bad as, say, it was a console game coming out on the same day. If this was like an Xbox game or a PlayStation 4 game, then that's gonna hurt. But because it's kind of an MMO, it's on PC. It's I think it's a bit less affected than it could be. It's obviously not ideal. But to be honest, these games are so big that people have pre-ordered. People have been planning on this. They know the release date. So even if they had done it a week or two either side, it wouldn't really make that much of a difference, I don't think. But it is a tricky time. I think in terms of content creators and the press, that's going to be the main thing.
Yeah. I what's kind of cool that has always worked in Guild 2's favor with these special events is that the content is temporary, so people are going to make sure that they get the absolute most out of it. And obviously we've got some really cool, interesting skins.
Yeah,
coming back.
I'm shocked at these rewards. I was not expecting it at all.
Pumpkin hammer. That pumpkin hammer looks so cool.
It does look good.
Awesome.
I was
on top
so
of that,
surprised by
I was
the
not
amount of rewards
expecting.
that they've spoken about.
Not expecting these rewards. We have like giant bat wings, what looks like a mummy backpack, and butterfly
The
wings.
butterfly wings.
So
yeah.
that's a good range of like evil to nice to what the heck? It's a mummy with like
Spooky.
Then you got like the pumpkin hammer, and I don't even, what is that on the right? That white thing? Is it like
I think it's a scepter,
Spider
and
webs.
it's like a nest of spiders. On a stick.
Yeah. It's
And
pretty cool.
okay? And I'm not one for pistols, but that bat pistol looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks pretty awesome, hey? And
It's
then
cool. And
we've got the mini pets as well.
Yeah, the new minis, which
Pumpkinhead
look,
Black Boa.
Pumpkinhead
Yeah,
boa.
it looks so good. That looks super
So, we were talking in the post show for those people who weren't here. I'm scared that the mini ghost pup, who is extremely rare in Trick or Treat bags currently, I'm hoping that it doesn't get bumped for one of these minis. Now we know that there's at least one new mini in the Trick or Treat bags. We know these weapons that we're seeing here are in the Trick or Treat bags. We know there is a collection to make a bat shoulder piece by collecting bat wings. We don't know where we're gonna get the fairy wings. Might be Gem Store or maybe candy corn cobs. The mummy, maybe from Mad King or something, because the Mad King's dungeon is coming back, which a lot of players, if you haven't played since launch, you guys may not have experienced that. Now, it's not an extremely difficult fight. Colin did say it's been a little bit, but don't expect a super difficult fight. But regardless, he drops loot, but he can also drop something special, which we don't know what that is, but maybe a back piece, maybe one of the weapons, or I don't know.
Mad Memories coming back.
Well, Mad Memories won't be back this year.
Oh,
Mad Memoirs won't be back, no.
Mad
It was,
Memoirs.
They
was
want to
the-
do a proper collection for that, and because of Heart of Thorns, there just wasn't enough time this year to get in a proper collection. And the old way to obtain it, the old collection way to obtain it, is just broken as all heck, as Colin says.
Yes.
So hopefully next Halloween, I know that's a whole year away, but hopefully next Halloween that's something that they can
I'll be
work
rocking
into.
mine until then. Maybe that
Yeah, me
jerk.
too.
Maybe that jerk walking
Suit.
around like, look at my man. Okay.
Where'd you get that?
But-
Where'd you get that?
Where'd you get
Where?
Can I have
If you're
that?
around in 2012, yeah.
that?
But honestly, it's such a great back piece, and it was really great to it the first big kind of scavenger hunt in game, because remember it chucked around a decent portion of the world at the time.
Yeah.
You know, I loved it, and diving back into the Mad King's realm again to go and fight Mad King Thorn. And do you guys remember when Halloween first came around, that there was like a once in a lifetime event that was going to happen in Lion's Arch?
Oh,
And
jeez. Yeah.
and everyone crowded into Lion's Arch around the statue to see it explode,
Yeah.
which was pretty awesome.
That was the first time that lion statue was destroyed. The very first time.
Yep.
First of many. Mad King Thorn came up, a one-time event, destroyed the lion
Crawled
statue.
out of it. Crawled out.
Or
of it.
crawled out of it at about 5 frames a second. And I actually wasn't there. I wasn't there. My computer at the time wouldn't have even been able to handle it. So
Craziness.
Oh no! But of course, we're all going to be testing ourselves on the Mad King's clock tower again.
yes,
I probably won't bother
yes.
this time.
I'm
I
excited.
failed so many times last year. I'm just.
Last year was the
Great
first
to
time
see.
I ever got to the top. I ever completed it last year. It
I've
took
never
me
managed
like
it.
2 hours, I think.
I wonder.
If anyone wants
I
to,
can't wait to do it
log
again.
in for me and do it for me, that'd be great.
I wonder what the reward at the top will be this year, because it changes every year.
Yeah.
Wasn't it just like the same hand wraps last year?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Was it? It might have been the same last year. Yeah. One year it was like boots or something. Now they don't look
Yeah.
special, unfortunately, but it was a free exotic piece of gear, and then it was
The
hand
Mad King
wraps.
slippers.
Right.
Yeah, I
Maybe
It's-
that'll be what the Ghost Mini is, Inks. They'll make it
The
harder.
top of
than
the clock
Ghost Mini
tower.
to be at the top
Ghost
of the
Mini.
clock
I mean,
tower.
I'm okay with that. I don't have any problems. I mean, don't get me wrong.
they made
it's
it
not
twice as
100%
long.
every time.
Uh,
The very first year that the clock tower was around, now this is when you could still see all people. So jumping at the same time as a Norn or a Char as an Asura was a little difficult, to say the least. It took me 2 hours or about 2.5 hours that first year, and I put it off to like the last day, foolishly. So it was kind of like, am I going to be able to complete this or not? But then the second and third year, everybody's a wisp now. So you just see your
Yeah.
character. Your view is not obstructed by people, and once you get down where you're supposed to jump, how you're supposed to jump and time it, it becomes fairly easier-ish. I don't want to say easy because not everybody can do it. Obviously, it's a
Right.
jumping puzzle. But for me, over time, the more you do it, obviously, the easier it becomes.
right.
took me 7 hours the first year. 7.
I'm glad I didn't even try the
Set.
first year. Once again, my
Basketing
computer
hours.
couldn't handle it, so
It really is a great jumping puzzle.
it's great. I had so much fun last year.
It's special in that it's timed. You can't, like a lot of jumping puzzles, even LA, which is ported around now, sadly, but even some of the more difficult jumping puzzles in the game, you can stop and take a break. You can stop and reassess your situation, or re-angle yourself, or re-swiftness yourself, or whatever the case is. But in the clock tower, because you're on a timer, everybody loads in at the same time, and as the clock tower is spinning around, you just need to jump, because the goo, the lava, the poison, whatever it is rising the entire time. So
Yeah, it's actually a fantastic optical illusion that the clocks had, because it seems like the course itself is spinning, but it is like if you kind of try and separate your mind from what you're seeing, it's actually everything but the course that's spinning around, and it's just this really kind of
Stays the same,
cool
everything
optical
else
illusion.
goes around. It's cool.
I love that jumping puzzle. Like,
well done.
whoever designed it is like phenomenal.
Josh Foreman, I
Is it
think.
Josh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was Josh
mhm.
Foreman, yeah.
Yeah, of course. If there is a torturing jumping puzzle in the game, Josh is behind it.
So in that blog post, it was confirmed that Halloween is going to be about 2 weeks.
Yay.
So, I guess yay. I don't know. Am I going to be done with the hot story by then? I don't know. Maybe.
It's going to be quite tough. I mean,
Yeah,
we were
it's-
talking before, thinking logically. If you care about the rewards that Heart of Thorns is bringing, maybe you want them all like me or a silly completionist. Maybe you just want a couple. But you should go and try to get those rewards and
Yeah.
try a mix hot in there, but that's going to be difficult depending on how much time you have to play. If you care about gold in the game, then you should still do Halloween, collect those skins, because some of them at the very least will be tradable. And those tend to be worth quite a bit of money as the season ticks on and Halloween fades away from our existence for another year.
Yeah.
Save them, hoard them, whatever, and you're bound to make money 6 months down the road.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you don't
In
care
fact,
about
the
money
most
and you don't care about
expensive-
rewards,
Yeah,
don't do Halloween.
you're
I
playing
don't know.
you're playing the wrong game.
My plan is to focus on the story, and there's bound to be a point where I've done the instance and I need to grind up another mastery point or get to this tier of gliding before I,
think
can
so.
progress. And I think those times will be where I jump in and do the Halloween content. And if it's up for a couple of weeks, I'll focus primarily on Heart of Thorns for that first week and then kind of slow down and relax a little bit through it, I think. Spoilers are definitely a thing, but I mean, there's good spoiler tags on the Reddit are common. There's I'm not gonna go on the forums, videos and other content creators. That's gonna be kind of where I might accidentally find something out. So I'm
Right.
just, I guess being careful is the best way to do it.
Yeah,
And just trying
So
to turn yourself off. Twitter though, people going, "Oh my God, this thing happened."
Right.
I'm kind of worried about that.
I have a
Social
little bit of
media.
faith because during the Living World Season 2, People were very good, actually, about not spoiling stuff that first night. It was it comes out Tuesday during the day, and it wasn't until about Wednesday night that people would start talking about and putting out their videos and stuff. So we did pretty good, but you got to remember that the Living World episodes, you could just do it in one night. In a couple hours, usually. So it was like a one-shot thing. This is an ongoing story. We don't know how long the Heart of Thorn story is. We don't know how many chapters there's going to be. We don't know what kind of time gating there's going to be, like with the mastery system. We have no clue. So it's going to be interesting with, like you said, content creators and, you know, between Twitter and Reddit and social media, you know, what's going to be the fastest way to spoil people, and then, you know, where you can't hide behind spoiler alerts because someone posts one screenshot and something, you know, of Air Dead, and it's ruined, you know.
Well, Radiant said as well, map chat.
Map chat is just going to have to be off.
Map chats too.
Right. It's going to be, I mean, you literally have to seclude yourself. No map chat, no Twitter, no social, no Facebook, no multimedia at all. No TeamSpeak, no guild chat, no Reddit,
no sleep.
No.
You wake up, you play through the story, no matter how long it takes you. Okay, no sleeping, no
and
like literally shut everything off.
Right, and see, people say that. People say just shut yourself off from social media. Well, that's fine for a night, tough. Or if you miss an episode and you can't watch it until the next morning, that's fine. You know, it's not a big deal to forego all that for a night. But what if this takes us weeks to complete? I'm not staying off Twitter for 2 weeks. You know, it can't. You know, you can't just shut yourself off. So it's going to be interesting. And what are we going to do for GuildGab? I mean, we're going to go, you know, are we all going to play up to a certain point and say we have to talk up to that point? You know, we don't know what
to do that, aren't we?
Right, yeah, I don't know, but we have to see how it's structured first. We're completely in the dark until we see how it's structured.
Yeah.
We're actually going to have to, like, plan this before we go live, aren't we?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And then to give ample spoiler alerts to say, you know, if there's chapters or sections or what, you know, if there might be an obvious, okay, you can play the first 5 instances and then there's a mastery grind that you have to do, or you have to get to the next map. Well, maybe that's an obvious place to stop. And then we can say, we're going to talk about those first 5 instances, so here's your spoiler warning. But but we just have to wait and see until it comes out.
It's tricky that I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, spoilers don't generally bother me, but I know that they bother a lot of people. So I'm not going to be secluding myself because I don't care. But I also play a lot, and I'm sure that I don't know how I'm going to figure it out, but I'll figure out how to wrap Halloween into the story and play all of it, I guess.
I guess the first week or something we could talk about Halloween, you know, on GuildGab, I mean, so that way, you know, it's still giving people that week. But I don't know. It's interesting. I think I'm kind of nearing to Inks's point of view. I don't think I'm gonna turn off map chat. I don't think I'm gonna. I trust people not to spoil things on Twitter and stuff like that. I think if something gets spoiled, I mean, I don't know why I'm trusting saying this right now publicly is probably going to ensure some horrible things happening to me.
I just can all I can tell you is that I don't trust anybody on Twitter because I have literally asked people, I have literally begged people on social media with Sailor Moon Crystal to not give me screenshots, not give me spoilers, don't tell me anything until you see my video. People will tweet spoilers and screenshots at me. They will email me screenshots. They will, and it's not malicious. They're just excited, and that's fine. But it's like, do you not understand that not everybody can get up at 6 a.m. and watch an episode when you gotta record it too? It's like, oh, it pisses me off.
Okay.
I think, guys, what you should do is you should send us spoilers. But what you should do instead of sending us spoilers, you should put in like half a dozen things, 5 of which are complete crap, and then hide
just send lies to people.
Yeah,
you should like government black things out. So like send a screenshot, but then black out all the Images.
And just send stuff around like Snape kills Mordremoth.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, what? Dude, I haven't seen it yet. It's only been however many years. Ridiculous amount.
I think my main focus is the story, and I'm gonna play through that not as quickly as I can. I'm gonna take everything in, but that's basically, as soon as I finish an instance, I think I'm gonna focus on how to progress to the next instance. I've been waiting nearly a year to see where the story takes us. I'm excited as hell. I can't wait to explore and find out what's going on. And once I've kind of gone through once, there's going to be slight differences and different ways to play, different options to choose. And so I'm going to relax then, but I'm just so hyped for the story. I don't think it's going to feel like, for me anyway, like I'm rushing through it to ensure I don't get spoiled. I think I'm just going to play it, and dedicate a lot of time to it, and so that probably ensure I don't get too spoiled.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm going to be playing it a lot that whole week or however long, so...
Please remember to say things. Please.
We're all going to be streaming and stuff, and yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a great one for us. We are going to be playing a lot of Heart of Thorns, all four of us. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
What's kind of crazy is that we all streamed. Corvus doesn't stream a whole lot. Apologies, Corvus, but most of us don't. Most of us streamed the beta quite a bit. I know Corvus played the beta a lot, but in the beta you hit a wall, right? You hit a wall of I can't really progress any further.
Right.
There's really nothing else for me to see. There's not a lot for me to do except find little holes in the wall or break out of the map or whatever. Try and fix bugs. Except for Stronghold, which you can just play a lot of, which I did. But launch isn't going to have that anymore. There's not going to besides mastery walls, there's not really going to be any walls where it says you can't go any further in the map or you can't go any further in the story. There's not going to be the same shackles as there are in a beta. And it's a little bit scary to think that there's no wall that I'm really going to hit or that we're really going to hit that's going to stop us from saying, you know what, I've had enough. I don't really feel like streaming the beta anymore. I'm kind of baited out, right? Because it's just going to be open. It's going to be open field for all of us. So we'll see what happens. That's going to be kind of crazy.
Thanks. You're probably going to die, to be honest.
I've been up for 89 hours, you guys. Up is left, down is red.
Be sure to tune into the first GuildGab after release.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be insane.
I'm excited.
I am very excited.
Speaking of that, so launch plans for launch parties, everybody, as well as a GuildGab. We have Launch Eve is a GuildGab day.
We have Launch Eve GuildGab,
so...
yeah. Well, I've planned to. I planned to one of those big plastic bags of caffeine and plug it into me intravenously. and then just
caffeine drip.
Keep going. Yeah, and after the launch weekend, I can just sleep at work, and then the GuildGab Thursday after launch. Done everything, I can come on and bitch about how there's nothing to do in the game.
That's right. Just get it all out the first week and just be like, there's nothing for me to do, guys. I waited a year for this and I'm done in a week. I mean, it doesn't matter that I played for 170 hours for the content. There's nothing to do.
That's why they're waiting for raids to come out in 2 weeks, because everybody will be done with all the content in 2 weeks. There's nothing to do. Ha! Raids!
Yeah.
Boom!
Well, and legendary weapons won't come out until raids either.
Legendaries.
Well, you can start working on your collections immediately, but they don't figure that anybody's going to be done with the collection in 2 weeks. So they're like, we might. Yeah.
Company have got to play the game to get stuff.
Well, you have to have mastery. You have to have mastery of the Maguma jungles. You have to explore everything in the jungle. You have to get the map rewards and everything. So there's gonna be a lot to do to get these new legendaries.
What's our plan?
Yeah. Your mic is messed up again, dude. But yeah, I'm having a launch slumber party. We're all gonna get our pajamas and our hot cocoa because By the way, guys, Heart of Thorns launches October 23rd at 12:01 a.m. Pacific time, which is 3 a.m. my time. So
9 a.m. No, 8 a.m. for me. And
oof. Eesh.
Is it 8 a.m. for us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a Friday.
You
got work, don't you? You got work, I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh no.
My fault. What's unemployment north of the border, like 98% or something? Yeah.
Wow.
Casual racism against the Scottish.
Yeah, it's great.
Honestly, I'll probably sleep before launch. Get up like an hour before or something, just so I'm slightly refreshed. And then I don't know how long I'm going to stream for or anything like that. I don't have anything set in stone just yet, but it'll be a decent stream for sure.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
Your stream is going to be 18 hours long, Inks. You do realize this.
We're going to wake up, we're going to see the news, local man found dead at his PC. That's how it's going to be.
Local man set fire to jackhammers.
He went crazy and deleted himself.
There were no characters left to delete, so he deleted himself.
I need the game to launch so I can delete characters again. It's been painful. It really has. It sounds bad. It really does. And it's not this gimmicky thing for me. I don't like them. I need to get rid of them, but I can't. There's so much invested for Heart of Thorns right now that I need them until they complete their task and then they're done.
Do you know what was so weird? Before we went live, Inks was saying he doesn't feel too good, but because it's launch week, he doesn't want to go to the doctors because he's worried he'll end up in hospital.
It's true. It sounds sad, but it's true.
I'm dying inside, but Guild Wars 2.
Yeah. If you get a laptop, man, I'm sure they'll let you take it with you.
I've tried that. They won't let me have access to their Wi-Fi.
Oh man, no!
I've tried. Believe me.
The cruel bastards.
Yeah.
What kind of healthcare system is this?
It's terrible. And they have Wi-Fi. They just won't let me have it. They won't let me access it.
It's for your own health. They know.
Need to play video games, man. It's why you're in here, sir.
It's on your file at the hospital. Like, don't let this man have access to the Wi-Fi.
Oh my god.
It's terrible. It really is.
I've
even tried to hack it.
He's gonna be in a corner with his laptop playing Heart of Thorns. You're gonna see doctors walking around behind him on stream. Oh, well, that's it for the live show, guys. If you're watching live on Twitch, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere because we're going to be talking more about everything in the post-show. If you're watching on YouTube, scroll down below into the description and click all the links and follow everybody everywhere for all kinds of Guild Wars 2 goodness. Heart of Thorns launches in 8 days.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Craziness. Alright, we will see you guys next week on GuildGab. Have a wonderful week, guys. Bye-bye.
Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.